Hi, I'm Laurel Honzinski, licensed architect and director of engagement for Mindful Materials. Welcome to the first video in our CMF 101 video series, where we'll be breaking down the Common Materials Framework, what it is, why it exists, and what its adoption will mean for the building industry. Let's start by setting the stage. Here's a statistic you might have heard before. Humans spend 90% of our time indoors, surrounded by the various fabrics, finishes, and furniture that make up our spaces. Despite calls for transparency over the past decade, we still have no idea what's in the vast majority of these products and materials that we spend so much of our time with. Collectively, these materials have a massive impact on building occupants' health and the health of those who make, shape, transport, and install those materials into our buildings, not to mention on the health and function of our planet and ecosystems. In fact, the impact of materials is so massive and so diverse that it's almost impossible to measure. To build more sustainable buildings, we know we need more sustainable materials, but are we all evaluating sustainable in the same way? And if not, how does this affect our progress? In 2019, the American Institute of Architects took a major step towards consistently defining material sustainability when they launched the Architecture and Design Materials Pledge. Today, hundreds of firms of all sizes have committed to the pledge, putting their names and specifying power behind 5 overarching statements that will lead to more intentional product choices across their portfolios over time. This pledge was the first commitment in the industry to articulate a holistic definition of what really makes a sustainable material. Since that time, growing numbers of designers, engineers, contractors, and owners have made similar commitments, beginning to shape a common language for how we think about sustainable materials and their impacts. All of these pledges started to reference the same 5 impact areas, reiterating the importance of considering holistic product impacts and the recognition that we all need to be pointing to the same North Star. But how exactly do we get to that North Star? Every organization who's committed to these pledges needs to know if they're on track, but with hundreds of certifications and eco-labels on the market, there's no way to compare what they all offer, and everyone's looking for different indicators. Let's say you want to prioritize climate health and social health and equity in your current project. How do you know what to look for, especially if you're not a materials expert? Each certification and standard has different definitions and metrics for how they evaluate embodied impacts. Some are holistic, some single attribute, some more stringent, and others less so. As a designer, this is really difficult to navigate, and as an industry, it's nearly impossible to know how we're making progress. Let's look at how inconsistencies in defining and measuring sustainability interrupt our momentum. For owners who set the demand, major or even minor variability in their sustainability targets, even within a single impact area like human health, can result in a barrage of requests and conflicting needs from the whole materials ecosystem. Manufacturers find themselves responding to an influx of individual requests for information in various different forms of documentation. All of these disparate requests really sharing the same intention to address the same impacts. Each of these redundant requests costs manufacturers and design firms time and money, which starts to add up quickly. These mixed demand and supply signals lead to confusion in the market and slow down investment in and development of holistically sustainable materials. Everyone takes their own path to sustainability, but there must be a way where we can all define and track impacts consistently. To accelerate momentum, we must build this kind of alignment, and that is where the Common Materials Framework comes in. The Common Materials Framework has 5 impact areas, which are directly aligned with the AIA Materials Pledge: human health, climate health, ecosystem health, social health and equity, and circular economy. The CMF analyzes and contextualizes over 100 of the most common building product and material certifications and disclosures, giving structure to over 650 data factors that are included within these programs and organizing them into the 5 impact areas, placing them within this holistic context. So we as designers and architects don't have to be experts on all the different certifications out there. We just need to know which impacts we want to focus on. Remember when I said it was impossible to measure the holistic embodied impacts of materials? With the digitized CMF, that's no longer the case. With connected and consistently structured product sustainability data, it will finally be possible for firms to track their accountability towards the AIA pledge, for owners to have more quantifiable data for ESG reporting, for a consistent baseline better best evaluation to be made across some of the most common product categories, and more. It's not the role of the Common Materials Framework to establish any of these metrics, but without a consistent foundation, none of these aspirations will be attainable at scale. Without a common materials framework, we have no consistency in how we understand or represent sustainability. This means we can't see where we're headed or how far we've come. The Common Materials Framework will power the future of materials sustainability by connecting designers and owners with sustainability data on material impacts they need to make more mindful decisions everywhere they work. To learn more about the structure of the CMF, stay tuned for part 2 in this series.